Have you ever heard of a school where the entire curriculum isn't written down in books, but is actually carried on the melody of a song? That's exactly what we're looking at today. It's the Kiahk praise, a tradition that takes some of the most complex theological ideas and turns them into a profound spiritual prayer, something that gets etched directly onto your heart.
So just think about this for a second. Picture a whole community, farmers, kids, scholars, everyone, learning these incredibly deep concepts about the nature of Christ. But there are no textbooks, no lectures. How on earth is that even possible? How can something so profound be shared so effectively with everybody, all at the same time? Well, the secret lies in this beautiful tradition called the Kiahk praise. And the best way to think of it is as a living, breathing theological academy. But instead of a written curriculum, the lessons are all sung. It literally turns complex doctrine into a simple, beautiful song of love.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a journey through this sung school. We'll start with the philosophy behind it, then we'll explore 4 absolutely brilliant symbols they use to explain a central mystery of the faith, and finally, we'll unpack the genius of why this method just works so incredibly well.
So, what's the big idea here? Well, it's this belief that the best way to teach and hold on to faith isn't through some dry academic study. No, it's by wrapping it up in praise and melody, turning it into something you feel, something that's deeply personal and emotional. And this quote, wow, it just says it all. The early Coptic fathers, they really understood something fundamental about us. Memories can fade, right? Facts can get fuzzy, but a melody that's tied to an emotion, a truth that you sing from your soul, that becomes a permanent part of who you are. It's all about engraving truth onto the heart, not just filing it away in the mind. Okay, so let's see how this actually plays out. Our first symbol is one I bet you recognize, the burning bush. In the Kiahk praise, this powerful image from the Old Testament becomes a masterclass in explaining the mystery of the incarnation, how God could possibly become human. The analogy is just beautifully simple. You've got the fire, which represents the awesome, all-consuming power of God's divinity. Then you have the thorn bush, representing the humble, fragile humanity of the Virgin Mary. So the hymn basically asks this question: how could a human being hold the fire of God inside them without being completely destroyed? And the answer is right there in the image itself. Just like the fire lived in the bush without burning it up, God's divinity united with humanity in Mary's womb without consuming it. And here's the crucial part. God became human without stopping being God, and humanity was joined with God without being wiped out. It's a perfect union without transformation. All right, next up we have the symbol of Jacob's ladder. This image takes the focus from the nature of the union and shifts it to its purpose, which was to bridge that enormous divide between God and humanity, to bring us all back together. So in this analogy, Mary is the ladder. Think about it. It's planted firmly on the earth, that's our humanity, but it reaches all the way up to heaven, to God. She becomes the very connection, the very pathway that allows heaven and earth to finally touch again. The praise sings about her as the bridge that finally closed this huge chasm that was created by sin. God came down this ladder to reach us, and through Christ we are able to go up it to reach God. It's such a powerful, tangible image for a pretty abstract idea like reconciliation. Okay, for our third symbol, we're going way back to the Ark of the Covenant and looking at the golden pot that held the manna. This image is all about explaining how Christ is our divine nourishment, the true bread of life. So here, the golden pot itself is a symbol of Mary's purity. And the manna hidden inside it? Well, that's Jesus Christ, the bread of life. The parallel here is just so powerful. Just as the manna showed up miraculously in the desert, Christ came into the world through the Virgin without a human father. He was a divine gift, sent to give life to the world. And now we get to the final and maybe the most famous symbol of all in the Kiahk praise, the golden censer. This one gives us the absolute clearest, most detailed picture of Christ's dual nature, a perfect fusion of the divine and the human. Just look at this comparison for a second. A piece of charcoal by itself is cold and dark. You could say that represents our human nature. But when it unites with fire, it becomes bright and hot.
It's totally transformed in its properties. But get this, the coal is still coal, and the fire is still fire.
So, the censer itself stands for the Virgin's womb. The coal inside is humanity, or al-Nasut, and the fire that sets it alight is divinity, al-Lahut. Once they're together inside that censer, you absolutely cannot separate the fire from the coal. They are perfectly united. And yet, they don't blend or mix into some weird third thing, and that is the heart of the mystery. And just like that, this simple, everyday image of a censer makes one of the most complex, mind-bending ideas in all of theology perfectly clear: the one nature of the incarnate Word. It teaches that Christ's divine and human natures are perfectly united without mixing, without changing, and without ever being separated. An incredibly deep concept made instantly unforgettable.
So we've seen what's being taught, right? But the real genius, the absolute magic of it all, is in how it's taught. Why has this method of sung faith lasted for centuries? What makes it so unbelievably effective at passing belief from one generation to the very next? It really boils down to three key things. First, repetition. These long, meditative melodies let you just sit with a single word or concept, singing it over and over, letting it sink deep into your soul. Second, emotion. This isn't some boring lecture. It's a song of love and praise. It connects the ideas directly to your heart. And third, simplicity. It takes this huge, profound theology and turns it into vivid, relatable pictures. A bush, a ladder, a pot, a censer.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? It's about radical accessibility. This song school takes theology out of dusty libraries and puts it directly into the imagination of every single person there, no matter their education or background. It makes deep spiritual knowledge something for everyone.
And that brings us to this beautiful, perfect summary of the whole thing. The Kiahk praise isn't just a ritual, it's a university of the spirit. It's one that opens its doors to absolutely everyone, where the only tuition is a humble heart and the diploma you get is a faith that you don't just know in your head, but that you feel deeply.
So, I guess this leaves us with one final thought. You know, in our world, we're always searching for knowledge, trying to analyze everything with our minds. But what if this ancient tradition holds a deeper secret? What if the most profound truths aren't just meant to be understood, but are meant to be felt, to be lived, and ultimately to be sung from the very bottom of our hearts?